he really is looking as if he's beginning to bite more than more than he can swallow, than he can digest.
Arctic is very important for Russia. Russia has a truly an Arctic soul, whereas you have to remind the United States every now and then that, hey guys, you are also an Arctic nation. Understanding there has improved a lot, but Arctic is very important for Russia and it's Russia's future. And currently it has become more and more important because it's the only area where Russia still has a military more military power than the West has. It's the only area where they can say that we are stronger, and Russia has been building military capabilities there for 15 years. But now, when Putin then attacked Ukraine, and Finland and was the best NATO salesman of the year and made Finland and Sweden to join NATO, it was the biggest strategic blunder that Putin has made so far, because Finland and Sweden joining NATO has totally changed the military strategic situation up north in Northern Europe, and it is turned the tables totally. And in Russia's capability in a possible conflict between NATO and Russia's capability to protect its assets in Kola Peninsula have declined considerably. And I'd say that it's more or less impossible for them to go offensive anymore.
So for viewers and listeners that are not familiar with the importance of the Kola Peninsula borders a big chunk of northern Finland, and it is the place where the Russian Northern Fleet, where the Russian nuclear arsenal is based. They are all home ported on that peninsula. And that fleet is the principal challenge to NATO in the North Atlantic. So traditionally, NATO has done an awful lot of work. Throughout the Cold War, Norway was a NATO member, and the Greenland-Iceland-UK gap was a really important focus of NATO effort. But now for Putin, he finds himself with not just the naval challenge from NATO coming around the top of the Norwegian Sea and into the Barents Sea, but he also sees NATO lined up, barely a few hundred miles from Murmansk on the Finnish border as well. Can Putin afford to resource all of his military districts to the degree necessary, given the scale of the frontage that Russia now has with NATO?
Well, I doubt. And the fact is that when you look at the high north, you understand that it's a unique operational environment. It's very demanding operational environment. And for example, United States and NATO countries before Finland and Sweden joined in had very few forces which are trained and equipped to operate in that environment. And that also includes air forces. And now both Finland and Sweden has a long capability and a long tradition is in fighting up north, and that has turned tables a lot. And Russia's capability to, they have currently 3 brigades there, 2 motorized infantry brigade and one marine brigade. Well, currently there's nobody basically. They have, the garrisons are empty. There are some conscripts and very few officers and NCOs, no operational capability at all. Just to build up that capability to full force and fully manned brigades will take time. And with these 3 brigades, you can't go to offensive, or you can go, but it will end up very badly for you. They've tried it before, doesn't work. So then start to enlarge them to divisions, which is one of their plans. It will take a long time. I'd say decade is at least, so we have time to react. And even though if they have this offensive capability there, to conduct offensive in Northern Europe is not that easy. The Germans tried it in Second World War, didn't go well. The Russians tried it another way, didn't go too well either, attacking Finland. Therefore, what comes more crucial than land power, I think, is the air power. And there we are much more superior. The NATO is much more superior up north. In Alaska, United States have soon around 100 F-35s and F-22s. Russia don't have a single real fifth generation fighter plane. In the European high north, Finland, Norway, Sweden, and Denmark alone have over 250 fighter planes, and in 2030s, 153 of them are F-35s. So the situation doesn't look too good for us, and the capability to seriously threaten NATO up north are declining.
Robert, this is a key point that
Yes.
the demands of the war in Ukraine has meant that Putin, as Pekka just illustrated, has raided both the eastern military district, so the navy based out at Vladivostok, but also the northern military district, to throw more people into the meat grinder in Ukraine. And the cost now, Pekka as a Finnish Major General will regard operating in -30 as routine business. But actually, these are incredibly highly specialized skills.
Yeah.
And so, for all that 6 or 7 years ago, we were seeing this huge investment in new bases all the way along the Russian Arctic coastline. What we've seen since is actually the disinvestment from the high north by Putin out of necessity.
Even some, as you say, naval infantry being pulled back for the. I think that the manpower situation, as described by Pekka, is absolutely critical to the whole story, and we don't know enough about what is really going on with Ukraine, because which is the hub of this. Putin has made extraordinary claims that up to 750,000 are now involved in the special military operation. Let me be clear about Pekka. I'm not saying that they're in Ukraine, but involved in Ukraine, on the border, in the defense industries, the logistics to that. That's quite a big bill, particularly as it looks as if really dangerous things are coming off in the Middle East. It would be extremely worrying if Israel gets involved in a deep operation in South Lebanon with Hezbollah, because then it gets even more global, as you might see. And I just want to say it is just a conjecture, and perhaps the general knows more, something about this. What was Putin really up to with Kim Jong-un? Rockets, defensive. We knew all that anyway. But what you get from the margins, and it is very local and it is uncorroborated, they talked about manpower. Whether you could get North Koreans to come in, I'm not saying to fight in Ukraine as mercenaries or whatever, but to backfill, because they've not only got a desperate situation, or a very difficult situation as so eloquently described, across the Arctic, but also along, as we are understanding from sporadic reports, but they are reports from the spot, of disorders and troubles in the remote Russian-Chinese border. So I think we're saying, to draw this together, that yes, there is a strategy. He has a strategic vision, but there's also, in addition to the protection of the Kola Peninsula, absolutely right, in the missile exchange, some of the claims that he's been suggesting is that they could run the Arctic Maritime Commercial Highway, albeit with China, hence the building of, which we haven't got onto, the fleet, which has been very slow in development, of big nuclear icebreakers, 15,000 tonners. He really is looking as if he's beginning to bite more than he can swallow, than he can digest. But when he's in this posture, and he's in an offensive mode of thinking, he is really dangerous.